This past weekend, I saw Bong Joon-ho's new film, Mickey 17, and my thoughts on it are it's pretty good. Is it a hit? I'm not going to say yes, especially not in the way that his last film, Parasite, was a hit. Definitely not, but it is enjoyable. It was a little bit different than I thought it was going to be, so let's dive into it. In order for you to enjoy this movie, you have to be accustomed to Bong Joon-ho's kind of acquired taste that he has in his style of movie making. What I mean by this is that there's certain directors like Paul Wes Anderson or the Coen brothers, even Quentin Tarantino, that have just a certain style and uniqueness to their directing, and it's hard to put your finger on it, but it also goes the same for Bong Joon-ho with the way he makes his films. So far, I've only seen 3 of his movies, that being now of Mickey 17, Parasite, and Snowpiercer. I like them all, and to me, I'd put Mickey 17 on an even scale, or maybe a slightly lesser scale than Snowpiercer. It doesn't have that extra sense of thrill that Parasite had that I was honestly expecting it to have. But it is also an interesting sci-fi film that has a message on a very humanistic level that also makes it grounded. What I expected from this movie was a planet-hopping experience in the likes of Interstellar, in that each Mickey there was that had died for some reason due to the planet and what was on the planet, and they would just keep planet-hopping until they found a Mickey that had made it back to the ship unscathed or didn't die or anything like that before they recreated him, as it showed in the trailer. In my opinion, I had 3 main takeaways about this overall story and theme to the movie. The first is that the movie is almost more of an immigrant movie than a sci-fi epic. Next is that it also does a good job personifying how one person can actually have multiple ideologies and how it comes into conflict with oneself. And my last takeaway is that it truly does follow the saying we've all heard growing up, don't judge a book by its cover. My thoughts on it being sort of an immigrant story is that it's a movie about mankind trying to come into a planet, obviously leaving planet Earth, and coming into a planet that already has a living species they don't understand and tries to get rid of them versus understand them and live with them. So not saying that people that emigrate are all emigrating to murder, but it's the story of leaving your place and trying to find a new home. Native species to this new planet that they find in this movie are referred to as creepers, and you initially think they are going to be the antagonists to this movie and that it's essentially going to be a movie about either starting a war with them or just completely annihilating their species, as that's what Mark Ruffalo's character wants to do. Robert Pattinson plays Mickey, who is an expendable on this voyage, meaning they use him to research the planet, and if he dies for any reason, they can print his body with his old memories, and he is basically reborn as a grown adult. He is on version 17 of himself. He falls and encounters a creeper, and it's made to make the audience think he's dead or that they kill him, but instead the creepers actually keep him and come back close to where his ship is. A few days had passed though, and because of that, it already created Mickey 18. An issue I had is that they made it seem as if they needed a body part to regrow the humans, but each time they regrow or remake a Mickey, they throw out the old body. So if Mickey 17 wasn't found, where did they find a body part to create Mickey 18? Did they somehow have an old body part from one of the previous Mickeys that they used to create Mickey 18? Was there a different explanation that I missed? Let me know down below in the comments section if so. Also, did anyone catch that the little ticker didn't go to Mickey 18? It showed on the screen that it went to Mickey 19, but referred to the new Mickey as Mickey 18. Or am I just crazy? Segue into the character of Mickey, Robert Pattinson did a great job at playing a character in the likes of which he's never played. He has very much become this chameleon actor that can fit into just about any category. I'd love to see him take on a comedy movie next. My second takeaway from this movie is that the Mickeys are physical examples of a person's internal conflict. Mickey 17 is the kind of guy that just lets everything go, is afraid to stand up for himself, and is a rule follower and just believes that if you do what's expected, you'll get rewarded. Mickey 18, however, is the opposite of Mickey 17, and that inner rebel in Mickey 17 that he had always shoved down has now made its way to the surface on an external level. When the two cross paths, Mickey 17, as usual, wants to be the rule follower and report that they had become what is called a multiple. And Mickey 18, being the rebel, wants to actually kill Mickey 17 because he, Mickey 18, likes this version of who he's become. He's not afraid to stand up for himself and fight against the system. Very different versions of the character. I thought Robert Pattinson knocked it out of the park. They made it very clear and distinctive which Mickey was 17 and which one was 18. It reminded me a lot of how Christopher Reeve very much played 2 different roles of Clark Kent and Superman. I don't think this movie will be nominated for any Oscars next year, in the way that, especially in the way that Parasite was. But Robert Pattinson is very much an early contender, in my opinion, for Best Actor. My last takeaway from this movie, as I mentioned before, was don't judge a book by its cover. And that theme has to do with the creepers. As I said before, the creepers saved Mickey-17, but they look like dangerous creatures. The humans that invaded the home planet of the creepers assumed they were evil creatures and wanted to kill them, so that way the humans were the only living species on the planet. The creepers then pretend to use some sort of call that will explode a human's eyeballs from the inside of their head out if they don't give back the baby creeper that the humans captured, and it turns out they were really just bluffing the whole time, which actually added an element of humor to it. Part of this movie very much reminds me of the movie Arrival with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner, because there's this alien species that we have to learn to communicate with, but we assume the aliens are bad and want to destroy us, so therefore we want to destroy them. But at the end of the day, all the aliens wanted was peace. Another element of this that reminded me of Arrival was the way that they communicated with the creepers. In Arrival, they used some sort of sign language to communicate with the aliens, whereas this one, they used a sort of mumbling technology that was able to translate what the creepers were saying and translate our English to their mumbles. A lot of this movie seemed very convenient. Like when it came to making the translator to talk to the creepers, I think they made it in like less than a day or something like that, and they had the technology to do so. It just seemed very convenient and easy for them to do. It's almost like a chunk of the story that was explaining how their technology works that they brought with them from Earth was just taken out. It was a little weird and kind of off-putting. Robert Pattinson seems to have become Warner Brothers' new golden boy, and I expect him to have a long-lasting relationship with the studio, the same way that Timothée Chalamet has so far. His acting was at a next level, and I look forward to what he does next. I hope it's Batman Part 2, but at this point, with all the delays, I doubt it. I did enjoy this movie, and I do recommend seeing it in theaters. Whether movies are good or mid or bad, I believe they all still deserve to be seen in theaters, so if you had any sort of interest, go spend the $10 to $20 to see the movie, and especially if you like Bong Joon-ho's style of film, you'll love it, so definitely go see it in a theater. Really quick, in the movie, they gave expositions about how the cloning machine was made and that the guy that invented it was actually a serial killer and ended up making 2 other versions of himself, totaling to 3 independent but the same people. Going back to what I said earlier, to where I felt like I saw the Mickey-17 ticker change to a 19 versus an 18, but the whole movie they only focused on Mickey-17 and 18. Is there a potential third Mickey out there being the real Mickey-18 and Mickey-19 was the one that pretended to be Mickey-18? There's a lot of Mickeys in here and it's probably kind of confusing. But does anyone think there's going to be a sequel, or again, am I just going crazy? My overall ranking of the movie is going to be an 8.5 out of 10. If you saw Mickey-17 this weekend, let me know your thoughts and where you rank it among Bong Joon-ho's films and whether or not you agree with my takes. A movie I'm going to be seeing next week is going to be Novocaine, so be on the lookout for that review next Monday. I hope you guys enjoy your time at the movies and have a great rest of your week.